Welcome to the F1 Debate Show. Sauber cancel their agreed 2018 partnership with Honda engines and make drastic improvements in the light of their new team principle.
And we talk about the in-season test at the Hungaroring as well as the team orders used at the Hungarian Grand Prix.
A few months ago, Sauber decided that in 2018 they wanted to use Honda engines to power them in the World Championship, alongside McLaren, and obviously taking into account of McLaren's bad few years with Honda, 2015, 2016, and obviously the really bad start that they got in up to this season. All the races were ticking by, and at one point they were at the back, 3 points behind Sauber and more than 250 points behind the top runners of Mercedes. But anyway, now they have decided to cancel that, which means that Sauber will not be using Honda in 2018. So when they agreed this partnership, it was almost like a big thing, and we even made an episode about it, talking about, where you were saying it was a terrible decision, because obviously, as I just said, if they not watched McLaren and seen what they've been through. Anyway, yeah, so as we said, again, a few episodes ago, that Marisha Kattenborn, their old team principal, obviously she'd been with the team a long time, had left, and they were in the search for somebody to take the team with direction. And they found somebody else who's actually quite a good guy as well. When Renault came into the sport last year, the guy behind it was French guy Fredrick Vasseur, and he'd been in the game again a long time in Formula 1 with Lotus and again with Renault back in the day. And then he's now switched teams, and he is now the full team principal of Sauber. So he will now take the helm, obviously with his loads of experience in Formula 1, and he will know what he wants. And the first thing that he wanted when he came in the door, he said, right, who are we using as our engine suppliers next year? And then they went, Honda. And he went, what? Because obviously, he was not expecting that. He was definitely not expecting that. I mean, Renault might be a bad team, you know what I mean? But, it's not as bad as, that could be me. Renault's bad, but could be worse. It could be a Honda. It could be a McLaren Honda or whatever. But yeah, he did not want that. He did not want them with Honda. So anyway, he's changed that. He's put his foot down the last few days, and he said that he wants them to cancel that deal. So obviously, they weren't with Honda. And obviously, the head guy, the chief executive at Honda, which is a man called Masashi Yamamoto from Japan, he said that obviously they have only McLaren in the game at that time. And obviously, with McLaren threatening, let's say they've got a threat. They've always got something on the field to say that they want to leave or they don't. But if they leave Honda, then Honda won't even be in Formula 1 anymore. See, Sauber was kind of in a more of a professional term. They were kind of like Honda's, kind of safety, if that makes sense. Like their fallback in Formula 1 is like, right, we've lost McLaren, but at least we'll have Sauber. At least we'll still be in Formula 1. And obviously that's not going to happen anymore. So Honda are only with McLaren, they're out of Sauber, which is good because obviously that means that the Swiss team can move forward. And we're not saying this Honda will be terrible next season. We're definitely not saying that. But obviously, as I said, as I opened the episode, look at what happened in 2015 last year and the start of this year with McLaren. I mean, honestly, it doesn't take an idiot, it doesn't take a Jordan to realise, maybe Honda is not the right way. Sorry about that. Honestly, it's not the right way to go forward. You know what I mean? Honestly, what we're doing here, racing or calling Jordan and Sauber? Sorry, Sauber. But yes, anyway, so on a good news. So Fredrick's come in, right? He's come in, as I said, he's got a lot of experience, and he's come in and he's wanted a lot more demand. He's wanted a lot more things, a lot more direction to take this team in. They have had financial troubles. They've had engines over the years that haven't been great. The biggest thing about their engines is they've always been a year old. They have been in a contract with Ferrari for multiple years, but they have been using an old spec engine from Ferrari. So at the moment they are using a 2016 engine, which obviously Ferrari used last year, obviously, and they are using it again. Now you might think that sounds a bit strange because it's a 2017 car. It's 2017. Why are you using a 2016, thing? Obviously, again, as I said about, many teams in Formula 1 using 2017 stuff, but there's other teams, obviously, towards the back who, didn't have enough money. And again, that happened in the olden days, like HRT, Manor, Russia. They always used old spec engine because that's what they could only afford. And like that other episode I was saying about Honda, we were talking about, the money. Does Sauber have that money to use? Anyway, but after they left Honda, the negotiations with Fredrick as well, long story short, with the negotiation with Ferrari, and long story short, they are now using a this year spec engine for next year, and that obviously means it is 2018 next year, and that means that they'll be using a 2018 engine. It's really, really fantastic for them. We are very happy for them. So obviously they've left Sauber with Ferrari, which obviously, as I said, they have been for multiple years, but they're now using a now spec engine, a new spec engine, obviously, which is really much faster, much newer. Much better for the team. It might be more to maintain and things like that. Obviously, again, as I said, we talked about the cost in that, but it's better news that they are staying with Ferrari. It's also strengthening their relationship with Ferrari, because obviously they have been with Ferrari a long time. They've used drivers, obviously drivers who have they haven't necessarily come through Sauber like they have with Toro Rosso to Red Bull, but they are very much a Ferrari junior team, if that makes sense. They've had drivers that have come through hoping to get to Ferrari, obviously from Formula 2, from GP3, and there's 2 drivers that are in the talks at the moment. One has driven for Sauber this year, earlier on this year. Another one, obviously they've both been in Formula 2, but obviously another one is a big start in Formula 2 coming up. The first driver is Charles Leclerc, obviously very strong in Formula 2 from Monaco, very, very strong. He's in the Ferrari development program. Obviously I was privileged to see him race in Silverstone and obviously take the victory in the sprint race on the Saturday. He is in the Ferrari development program, as I mentioned, and obviously looking at a Formula 1C next year. And we're not talking about Martis or Pascal in this episode in terms of what their contract says and obviously whereabouts they're going to go, because we're not saying that there will be a space open, but obviously as a driver, as Formula 2 driver, very, very strong, obviously competing for the World Championship as well. It looks really, really good for him that he might get into Sauber for next year. And obviously the second person, the much bigger person as well to go for next year, is Italian driver Antonio Giovinazzi. Now, as I say, he was in Sauber earlier on this year. He drove in Australia and in China, obviously replacing Pascal Wehrlein, who obviously had a crash in Miami, the Race of Champions, earlier on that year. He did okay. He was a good person, to have his feelers out in Formula 1 for those 2 races, but obviously, as you know, in China, on the first part of the season, he obviously crashed in China as well. That wasn't obviously very good for him, but obviously, at least, as I say, he got into Formula 1. He knew what was going on. So I say, at least he drove those 2 races for Sauber. But obviously, he might be coming back into Formula 1 again, like Charles, but it's very open to say what will Martis be doing or what will Pascal be doing, obviously, as they come into next season. But obviously, those 2 drivers in Formula 1, obviously, in the Ferrari development program, obviously, both been in Formula 2 before, both really, really strong, both chasing a drive in Formula 1. It's really good to have. So on the whole, I mean, if you've got to say that, obviously, on the whole of what I've just said, I mean, Fredrick Vasseur coming into Sauber, he has done some big changes to Sauber. So in his first fortnight, obviously Hungary was the first race that he was in charge. In his first fortnight in charge, in his first week in charge, he has basically scrapped one of the biggest talking points of the season, which obviously was that Honda, crappy Honda, were going to go to Sauber for next season, obviously have 2 teams in Formula 1 along with McLaren. That was a massive talking point, and basically he said no to that. They've now got a Ferrari engine, obviously 2018, for when it's the 2018 season, obviously hopefully onwards, strengthen their partnership, and brought 2 more drivers, obviously both development drivers for Ferrari, obviously in the Formula 2 programme as well, into the mix. So he has done very well for Sauber. It's almost like a Fredrick Vasseur appreciation F1 debate show episode this, but obviously he's done very, very well. Anyway, yes, so Jordan, Sauber, it is good to hear, because obviously at the moment now they are now at the bottom, obviously being overtaken by McLaren. First thing I mentioned about McLaren, obviously you must be very happy about that. Yes, you are. Honda as well, honestly, I was going to say, Honda as well, obviously they must be happy, but it's about Sauber and Honda, not McLaren and Honda. So anyway, Sauber, obviously backfield team, but all this news that is coming out, obviously along with the drivers, along with the engine deal, along with getting rid of Honda, must be fantastic for them. Obviously, what are your thoughts on Sauber moving forward in 2018? Obviously I know we have the halo and there's some bad news coming into it, but it is looking fantastic for Sauber, isn't it? They've really cleaned up the rack and it looks like they're having a fresh start, isn't it?
I think it's brilliant news for Sauber. Obviously, not only having a Ferrari engine and not a Honda, but it's an up-to-date Ferrari engine, because as like you said before, they've been lacking a year behind everybody else, and that's why they've been at the back. And I think the last time that they had the same engine as everyone else was 2014, which obviously you had to be, because you couldn't have a 2013 Ferrari V8 in the back of there, could you, in 2014? But I think after that, I think it was 2013 was the last time they had the same engine as everybody else. But no, it is brilliant news for Sauber, and hopefully they actually can continue to move up the grid. Hopefully, hopefully McLaren are doing that as well. Maybe we can go off elsewhere, and maybe join Ferrari. I don't know, McLaren Ferrari. That might work. I really doubt it. But anyways, as I said, this isn't about McLaren. But yeah, obviously, Fredrick Vasseur coming in and just basically right. First rule, he's got his little personal belonging things. He's patting his desk, little photo of his wife and kids and everything, all his achievements in life, and just go, right, first things first is, do you want a coffee, boss? No, get rid of Honda. Get them out. Go. I don't want to hear them. That was it. And obviously, white 2 sugars. But no, I think. But obviously, the positive side of that as well, as what Lyle was just saying before about these 2 drivers who possibly could be signing for Sauber. We're not saying that they are. It's just highly, highly likely that this could be part of the deal, and maybe that's why Saubers went, all right, yeah, we'll accept this deal. And it is good that Sauber's owners have actually gone into their pockets and actually spent big, because it is easier to go with the 2017 engine for next season rather than an up-to-date spec engine. So let's hope Ferrari, are on the ball over the winter for 2018. But yes, I think the possibility of either Charles Leclerc or Giovinazzi driving in that car is very, very likely. And I think if they were to replace anyone, it would be Pascal Wehrlein, because Marcus Ericsson brings a lot more money and a lot more finance to the team, which is what Sauber need. So I can't see Marcus Ericsson budging it anywhere soon, and that's why he's been in Formula 1 for so long. Even though Pascal Wehrlein, I'm sure everyone would agree that he is the better driver. He's out-qualified him more times this season. He's out-raced him more times this season. So I think, I don't know the score in terms of qualifying. I have to look it up or something like that. But yes, Pascal Wehrlein, he is the better driver, and I think he'll probably go off to Mercedes, go in a testing role, and then either Leclerc or Giovinazzi might obviously go into the Sauber seat, and then maybe stick around to see what happens at Ferrari for 2019. But I mean, for a team like Sauber, I mean, well, actually, first of all, before we go into any of that, let's rewind the clocks back to earlier this year when they announced that that Honda was going into Sauber, and I'm thinking, I think it was a big surprise for everyone. It made sense, but it was a bit of a shock. Like, I wasn't expecting it. I was like, why? Like, when people say desperate times call for desperate measures, like, that defines it, doesn't it? Because it's like, right, okay, we want an spec engine. We can't afford a Mercedes engine. We can't afford a Renault engine. We can't afford a Ferrari engine. And you've just got the co-executive at Sauber looking at the boss going. He's going, no, please don't, no. And then like 2 days later, it's like, we are pleased to announce that we are signing with Honda for 2018, and everyone's like, whoa. So yeah, there was definitely mixed reactions when they announced that, but it was actually quite sour. It was actually apparently quite a sour deal. A
Sauber deal.
Oh dear, oh my god! And you tell me my jokes are bad. Oh my word, that's terrible.
You have to have we have to have one good one in the episode.
That's nearly as bad as Honda. That exactly. But no, but the media this week, obviously, when Vasseur got announced as the team principal, and obviously his first rule was to get rid of Honda, it said that he basically criticised Kaltenborn by saying, why did she sign the deal in the first place? I mean, yes, it is cheaper, but I think Fred was like, well, we've got the facilities, we've got the backing, why didn't you use it? So, I mean, maybe that the owners just sort of fell out with Kaltenborn and said, right, okay, we've had it with you, we want you out, we're going to sign with Honda. And then she's like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And off she goes, and then he comes in and goes, right, Ferrari. And he goes, you read my mind. And obviously, hopefully everything will go swimmingly there. But obviously, don't count your chickens just yet. It might all go sour.
The famous saying from the F1 debate show.
It certainly is, and obviously it might all go pear-shaped, and Sauber might be still at the back. I mean, high chances, the likely chance is that they are going to be at the back. Realistically, anyway, still for a number of years until there maybe someone else comes in and maybe invests even more money or even get even more sponsorships. But I believe Giovinazzi brings in a lot more money than Leclerc. But obviously, it depends where Giovinazzi wants to be at the end of the season. We all know that Haas have Ferrari engines, and he's been doing some testing for him for Haas this week. But obviously, they've pretty much cemented on Kevin Magnussen and Romain Grosjean on their drivers. So again, he might take up the test role there. But if there was anyone, I would probably say Giovinazzi going there. But I would prefer Leclerc to go there, because I'm a really big fan of Leclerc. He's doing really well in Formula 2. He reminds me of Jules Bianchi because they were good friends, and I think he looks a little bit like Jules for some strange reason. Obviously, they're not related, But I think you look at him and go, I can see Jules in you. And obviously, I wasn't a big fan of Jules, but I like seeing the young kids come through the ranks into Formula One. And obviously, Jules was one of them who caught my eye, and I was like, he'll do well. And obviously, sadly, he's not here with us anymore. But I think Leclerc will be able to continue that legacy. And obviously, should he win a world championship one day, he would certainly dedicate it to the late Jules Bianchi. But I think it is really good news for Sauber getting a Ferrari engine in. Getting rid of Honda, nobody wants Honda, and let's hope now that McLaren will look at this and go, right, okay, if Sauber can do it, surely we can do it. But obviously Sauber's doing the right thing and doing it now, and McLaren's going to wait till September. So obviously now teams are now designing the cars for 2018. Obviously they have to now, obviously with the Halo coming in. So obviously they've got to try and build the chassis around the engine, and obviously you don't want to be leaving it too late to actually decide who you're going to be with in 2018. So I think realistically, I think it is very, very positive from Sauber. Some very good news after the back of some bad news. But will it push Sauber forward up the grid? Obviously, let us know in the comment section below. So I don't know. I'll just find a word on you. Do you think that this will help Sauber push up the grid and maybe go into the midfield battle like they were in 2015? If you remember when they had that very good season.
Yeah.
So will it help?
I hope so. It's just nice to hear some good news about them. Obviously about moving up teams and things like that. Just one question I want to ask you about the drivers. I was going to say, so obviously as I said, that Antonio Giovinazzi obviously drove in Australia and drove in China, obviously to replace Pascal Wehrlein, obviously when he was after his injuries at the ROC. So because Giovinazzi's had those 2 races, and obviously he has more involvement in Formula 1 at the moment, obviously as I say, because Charles Leclerc is in Formula 2 at the moment. Do you think it's more going to be Antonio because he has more of that experience, or because it could go both ways, as I've just said. Antonio's more F1 testing and things like that, and obviously he did those 2 races, but Charles is obviously F2, and obviously, as I said, going for the championship at the moment. So who do you think has the advantage in terms of like the car experience?
Well, definitely Giovinazzi, because as like you said, he's driven for 2 races for Sauber this season, so he's got the experience in the more up to date car, whereas Leclerc obviously hasn't. But he has been driving the 2017 Ferrari in this week's Hungarian test. So again, he's got some experience, but he's absolutely killing it in Formula 2. I'm not, as like I said before, I think Giovinazzi is more likely. As like I said, I think I don't know fully, but I've heard somewhere where he does bring a lot of money to two teams into Formula 1, and that's why he's part of the Sauber program. But Leclerc might bring even more money, and I don't know how much Leclerc brings in, but I think obviously Leclerc might set out for a bit, stay in Formula 2 for another year, maybe even come in as a Sauber test driver, or maybe even go to Ferrari for a year, come into Sauber when Giovinazzi goes to Ferrari. I don't know how it's going to work, but I think in terms of driving ability and driving experience, definitely Giovinazzi, because as like I said, he's worked alongside Marcus, he's worked with the team, he knows what they want, and yeah, that's pretty much it really. I think Giovinazzi, really. What about you? What do you think?
I think they're both great. I really do. Obviously, I love Giovinazzi's a great guy. Obviously, he's doing a lot of punditry as well. Obviously, he did Hungary. He was working with Sky Sports F1. Obviously, really nice guy. But as I said, I saw Charles Leclerc. Obviously, drove in Silverstone. Obviously, when I went, and really strong, really great guy. They're both going to be fantastic having Formula 1. Obviously, as you said, doing the test with 2017 Ferrari is really great. Both in the Ferrari test program, both hoping to get with Sauber, both going to be test drivers in Formula 1, both going to be in Formula 1 someday and hopefully world champions. But I don't know, they've got a great pick on them. If you were going to say for my personally, I think I'm going to have to unfortunately agree with Jordan, which I don't do much, and very say no, yes, very rarely, yeah, and say Giovinazzi. Leclerc's a great driver, but Giovinazzi, really great experience and just an all-round nice guy.
After the ups and downs of the Hungarian Grand Prix, it was time to pack away and chill out for 4 weeks as the F1 2017 season takes a summer break, or winter break, depending on where you are in the world. But for some teams and for some team drivers, it wasn't actually time to relax, put your feet up and watch the F1 debate every week at 6 o'clock GMT local time. Right? Subscribe if you're new around here. It was obviously the in-season test. Now we do love a test or two on the F1 debate show.
We do,
but. We do, but this test is a little bit different. Now you're probably sitting there in your chair, chilling out, watching us, going, "Hang on a second. Well, first of all, why I'm watching this? Chill out. You'll find out too. But second of all, it's like, why is the test so major? Well, obviously, this test marks the return of Robert Kubica, who's been out for Formula 1 since 2011. Honestly, it's been like a massive media storm. this. It's like I've never seen a test so hyped ever because of just of one pole guy. You know what I mean? So obviously, no offense to the Polish people, but good job on you. Making friends here.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just gonna basically run through the times and obviously just basically discuss both tests and just see how everything went on. Really, that's pretty much it. So obviously on day one, you had the Scuderia Ferrari top on the timesheet, and you're probably thinking, oh, was it Vettel? No. Was it Raikkonen? No. All right, then who was it? It was Charles Leclerc. It was obviously tipping to be here, there, and everywhere in 2018 and 2019. Very, very positive. Very, very good test from him. 1 minute 17.746, but that's still like literally what 1.23 seconds away from Sebastian Vettel's pole position time. So I think he's got a lot of work to do there. But obviously it's only tests. And now in P2. Was Stoffel Vandoorne in the McLaren Honda. Now he got a 1 minute 17.834. Yes, you heard me correctly. Stoffel Vandoorne in P2, who was P1 at one stage during the test. Exactly. The thing is, alright, I want to ask, why is McLaren so good in tests yet so bad in
I know.
races?
I was just gonna say that because I remember in 2015. I remember in Abu Dhabi 2015. Obviously after the ridiculous season that Jensen and Fernando had, that was when Stoffel topped the time sheets in the test after Abu Dhabi. I was just about to say that, but I just love testing.
Same at 2015 mid-test, 2016 mid-test. Got very reliable fast times up. Reliable car. 71 laps he did. That was actually the entire Hungarian Grand Prix. Very, very impressive. Obviously, yes, we did finish the race, obviously, but still, to show that the car can do it again, just makes that thing that little bit sweeter.
Oh yes.
P3 was Valtteri Bottas in a 1 minute 18.732. Now he did 155 laps, which what you would expect. Now we're hearing a bit of rumours, like give you tumours, right? That he was testing 2018 Pirelli tyres. So double bubble there for Mercedes, getting some more mileage and maybe testing some new potential upgrades on the car, as well as testing out next season's tyres. So again, getting the advantage on the other teams already, Mercedes. Very interesting indeed. In P4 was his teammate, kind of, George Russell, the young Briton. Very, very good potential there. I never heard of the guy till he signed for Mercedes, whoever he is. P4, he got a 1 minute 19.231, 119 laps. Very, very impressive there from him. Lance Stroll in the Williams, 1 minute 19.866. I'll hold it up here so I'll look more professional. You got it on the F1 page. 137 laps. For the Force India, Nikita Mazepin, or Marzipan, as I like to pronounce it. 1 minute 19.910. I know it seems Morgan. 52 laps he did. Very, very good there. Nicholas Latifi. By the way, the pronunciation on these drivers. I was looking at these test names. I was looking at these test names, going, oh, I don't believe this.
I would have said that was very good. And it can't be worse than some of the things that we've said before, like Pascal Picky and that. Even though I think he's out the picture now, but you can't be too picky about what we say in here.
Just you wait. Just you wait.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm in suspense. Some of
the names I've got here. Latifi, 1 minute 20.302. Now, obviously, he's going to be taking this test a little bit more seriously because he's tipped to be in that seat for Renault in 2018 to replace Julian Palmer. Go and battle with the Polish driver Robert Kubica, who obviously tested the next day, which is not next day because I've got the times here. How confusing is that? In P8, Toro Rosso is Sean Gelael. Gelael, is that how you pronounce it? Gelael?
Possibly.
Gelael. That's it. Gelael. That's better. Sean Gelael. I've actually written all the words like too close together. That doesn't make any sense. 1 minute 20.341. 100 laps exactly in Toro Rosso. Now this is the name I really didn't want to pronounce.
I can't wait.
Force India. Lucas R. Seriously, I can't pronounce that name. Auer. Lucas 1 minute 20.563.
You can't say we don't make you laugh. Honestly.
If he's watching this, he's going to be going. Now here's one I can't pronounce. I think
Lewis Hamilton.
Valtteri Bottas. Santino, Ferrucci, the American for Haas. 101 laps, 1 minute 21.185. He was in P10. P11 was Max Verstappen with 1 minute 21.228, 58 laps. And in the Sauber, P12 with a 1 minute 21.503, did 108 laps, was Gustav Malja. Gustav Malja. That'll do. So obviously that was all a test one. Obviously I'll leave all the timings and everything in the comment section below, description below, in case you literally didn't know who the hell I was saying.
Or the bad pronunciation.
Very bad pronunciation on some of them. But anyways, that was test one. Obviously, these tests. So obviously, if you are seeing the likes of the Red Bull near the back, don't be too disheartened. It's not the end of the world. You could be a McLaren fan. P2. That's all I'm saying. I'm just living on the moment. Day 2 brought us obviously the return of Robert Kubica. Obviously, it was literally like all the media was around him, and obviously you had the other guys going, really, honestly, what are we doing here? Testing or watching Kubica get media bombed? That was literally it. But P1 was Sebastian Vettel with a 1 minute 17.124. Only did 40 laps though, so. 40 laps. Yeah, what can you say? P2 was Lando Norris in the McLaren Honda again. That's 2 times in a row that McLaren Honda have gone in P2. And the really depressing thing is though, right, is that this kid, this is his first time in a Formula 1 car. He was on the Ultrasoft tyres, which obviously weren't available at the Hungarian Grand Prix, and actually it was about 2 or 3 tenths faster than Fernando Alonso's Q3 time, which is pretty impressive. But obviously he was on the fastest tyre possible in the test. So very, very, very positive from Lando Norris. Big fan of his. P3 was Kimi Räikkönen in the other Ferrari of 1 minute 17.842. 60 laps he did there. In P4 was the man himself, Robert Kubica. Very, very impressive on his return to Formula 1 in these big, heavy machines. 1 minute 18.572 with 142 laps on the Ultrasoft tyres. Now the rest of the guys running today were actually on unknown tyres, which could be 2018 tyres, could be 2017 tyres, new compound.
There could be 1985 tyres.
You never know. You honestly don't know, especially with these tyres these days. In P5 and P6, you had the 2 Toro Rossos, but you had Carlos Sainz ahead of Nikita. He was in P5 with 1 minute 18.85 or 68 laps. P6, Nikita, who actually brought out the red flag during the session, no surprise there, with 1 minute 19.116, 54 laps under his belt. P7 was our good friend Lucas Arara with 1 minute 19.242 with 49 laps. George Russell makes a brilliant return into P8 with a 1 minute 19.391 with 90 laps. Nikita Mazepin with 1 minute 19.692 with 48 laps. P10 was our good old friend Pierre Gasly for Red Bull with a 1 minute 20.337 with 107 laps. Oh dear, here we go. P11 with a 1 minute 22 with 1 minute 20 rather 0.414 with 161 laps to his name was Luca Giolotto. Oh, here we go. Do you know what? I should actually literally learn to pronounce these names before we go on air.
Yeah.
I mean, Giolotto.
Well, he'll leave it in the description anyway.
In the False India, rather. Yes, we will. Santino Ferrucci makes a miraculous turn in
that didn't get right.
Spot on. Oh God, you should hear the next one. You should hear the last one. Guarantee he's gonna laugh. Ferrucci with a 1 minute 20.994 with 116 laps, and seriously, guys, you're probably thinking, hang on a second, guys. This is definitely debate. He's supposed to be professional, but in P13, this guy. Was that seagulls laughing? See, in P13 you had Nobere, Matashita with a 1 minute 21.998.
Oh God. No respect to anyone who was actually called that, but
if you're offended by this, then just.
Oh, it's all good fun, man. It's all good fun.
It's only having a laugh. Like seriously, I generally can't pronounce some of these names, but I will work on it. So hopefully, when they do come into Formula 1, I will be able to pronounce it. So obviously, that was test times, day 1 and day 2. As I said, if you didn't understand a word I was saying, any of their names, but all the testing times, all the times, and how many laps they did will be in the description below.
Yeah.
But obviously, since we're on the subject of Hungary, I thought we might, since we don't do reviews anymore, we rarely talk about a race. But this week we are, because 2 very strange things happened. Now, one of them was actually obviously blatantly obvious, you know about. One of them was obvious, but it wasn't really transmitted during the race. Now, obviously, we're going to talk about a little bit about team radio in terms of that team orders. Now, I'll start with the most obvious one, which was Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas. Now, obviously, on a track where I said the Mercedes should dominate, I said Hamilton should literally dominate this Grand Prix. He didn't. He didn't get pole position. He even said that he wouldn't get pole position at Hungary. Went into the race and struggled massively. The Ferraris were in a league of their own. It was like, right, go. Sebastian Vettel then endured a bit of teething problems where his steering column was a bit dodgy, where he had literally to go in a straight line. You had to bet his steering to the left a bit to keep the car straight, because obviously if you put it straight, it would then go off to the left, and obviously you don't want that when you go down the main straight in Hungary. So obviously that then allowed to catch the Mercedes up. But then you had a bit of a problem because Hamilton couldn't get close enough to Raikkonen to overtake obviously the other Ferrari who was behind him. And then obviously lap after lap, obviously trying to win the Grand Prix, because you knew Hamilton could catch the Ferraris, but obviously he was struggling. So, and obviously, I think Bottas was in front at this point. He then allowed Hamilton through to have a good go, and he literally closed the gap within like 1.5 seconds. And like, literally, it was so quick. It was like, right, he's going to overtake them, and he didn't, because he just struggled. He got so close to the rear of Kimi Raikkonen in P2, and he was just losing grip on his tyres. He was struggling. So then he said, right, if you can't do it, we're going to get Bottas to go. But Bottas was like 2 or 3 seconds down the road. So you got a problem there of like, right, if we saw Hamilton down, he's gonna lose time, possibly to the next guy behind him, which I think was Ricardo. No, it wasn't. It was Verstappen, who was flying at this stage as well. We're saying nothing about turn 2, lap 1.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously he has a go and he can't do it. So on the last corner, he slows down and allows Bottas through, throwing a podium position away and about 3 or 4 points away from Sebastian Vettel in the World Championship. So that could literally be costly for Lewis Hamilton in the World Drivers' Championship, potentially throwing away a 4th world title there, which obviously given Sebastian Vettel, I think it's 14 points he now leads over Lewis Hamilton. So a nice healthy cushion there over his championship rival. But the other one I want to talk about is, when Vettel obviously took off into the distance, Raikkonen was just, you know, a nice Sunday drive until he's seen, oh, my teammate is struggling. Now, he was on the radio at the Ferrari saying, I can overtake him, let me overtake. And they're thinking, hang on a second, no, because we need you there, because if you overtake Seb, then he's then going to come under pressure from Hamilton, which then, of course, he is going to overtake him because Seb has that steering problem. So then it's like, well, that means he's going to lose out in the World Championship. He's going to then lose the lead of the drivers' title. Then you've got a bit of a problem there. So obviously, Kimi Raikkonen basically playing second fiddle yet again to Ferrari, and obviously just staying behind Sebastian Vettel, and obviously making his feelings abundantly clear, basically saying that, you know, come on guys, I basically criticised Ferrari by saying I could have won this race, I could have overtaken him, but Ferrari were like, no, you are our defence to stop Hamilton from getting to Sebastian Vettel. I mean, and obviously, a driver like Kimi Raikkonen playing second fiddle to Ferrari, it isn't good to see. But obviously, on the Hamilton side, obviously, I give him full credit for doing that, because I was one of them people who generally thought he wasn't going to let him by. I really didn't. I thought Hamilton was going to get that podium, and then there would have been a massive tension. But I just want to refer things back to, I think it was 2014, I think, when Hamilton was asked to let Nico Rosberg through, and he said, "I'm not letting Nico pass me. He's going to have to fight for it." And now, but move a year or two later, and now he's allowed Bottas through. So, I thought it was just how strange that was. So obviously, let us know your opinions in the comment section below as always. But Lyle, the team order thing. Now we all know how controversial team orders can be at times. We have seen it in the past, most famously with Fernando as fast as I knew to Felipe, and that kind of started the whole circus of team orders. So obviously, what's your take on both scenarios? Because you've got both Mercedes, who obviously Hamilton let Bottas through, which obviously isn't really controversial, but Hamilton's literally throwing the lead away there in the championship, putting the team well and truly before himself. And then you've got Kimi Raikkonen, who could have won the Grand Prix, a driver like Kimi Raikkonen, very good driver, playing second fiddle to Sebastian Vettel, who obviously now is the top guy at Ferrari. What's your take on all that?
So, basically, I mean, obviously. Oh, by the way, in the radio message, I thought you'd mentioned the very famous Multi 21. Obviously, that was a big thing. Yeah, anyway.
That was the one. Yes.
So obviously about the Hungarian Grand Prix, obviously big topics, big topics to talk about as well. Obviously, the Hamilton thing was great. Him letting Bottas through. They both said on the radio that they obviously weren't out in the team that they had 5 laps obviously to get each other, which obviously Hamilton had 5 laps to get right, which obviously turned into about 20 or about the end of the race. But he initially was told that it was 5 laps, and then obviously he was top place with Bottas. Now when it came into the end, obviously it was lap 70 coming up to the line, and then obviously you saw Hamilton slow down for Rosberg, and obviously when the two commentators were on it, they didn't really have much to say because obviously they didn't really expect it, and I think that was a very good sportsman thing that he did, obviously letting Valtteri go past obviously the guy who started ahead of him, obviously in quality, for the start of the race. So he did a really good fight to maintain that position obviously until then. So letting him pass was fantastic on Lewis's part, and I don't think there's going to be any controversy around that. But and also, I mean, yeah, he did throw away a podium position. And obviously he's lost 3 points, obviously, which, as I say, the gap could have been, he could have gained 10 points behind Sebastian in the race, and obviously 11 points in the championship, so it's not loads, obviously, compared to, obviously only 14, which he has at the moment. But I just think it was a really great thing by Hamilton, obviously, as I say, to let Bottas through, get him on the podium. But from Mercedes' point of view, I thought they would have said that Hamilton, because he's the number 1 driver, and he's also going, obviously for the World Championship, that they would have put him ahead, a bit like what Ferrari probably did a bit like what Ferrari did with Sebastian and Raikkonen. Obviously, as you just said, Kimi could have gone for the win, but obviously letting Seb stay ahead, that was obviously to do with the World Championship for sure. Obviously, Seb was leading by 2 points, and obviously, let's just work that out. And I quick math in my head. So obviously, if Seb dropped back to 2nd place, even with Lewis in 3rd position, obviously, yeah, there would have been a gap because Sebastian would have gained 18 points from 2nd place. Hamilton would have gained 12 points from 4th place. So that would have been, so obviously 8 or 2, that's 6 points. That means that would have been 7 points in the World Championship separating them. Obviously, it would have been a smaller gap, and even in 3rd, that would have been a 4-point gap between them. So there still would have been a bit of a gap, but Ferrari kind of, it did look like that Multi 21. They were keeping Seb ahead because obviously he was the guy in the World Championship that was more important. But I think Lewis just took a more of a philosophical route, against that race. He thought obviously Valtteri started, in that position. Obviously behind me is not very fair because I'm not really catching Raikkonen. You could have had a chance. I'm not saying you would have done it, but obviously Lewis couldn't catch him. I think he was just repaying him back and just kind of saying that. I don't know, just acting like a good teammate. But obviously, I really respect Lewis for doing that. It was a great, showmanship that we really saw. And I don't believe any of this, where it'll come down to the wire, and then people will say things like, oh well, if you never gave that position up, and if you never, kind of gave Valtteri those extra 3 points, then that'll bite you, in the end of the World Championship. I don't believe that, but I just think it was a really nice show by Lewis. On the Ferrari front, I don't know, but obviously Seb's a more important driver. He's the number 1 driver, and obviously, as I've said, a bit like Multi 21, the guy that's ahead, the guy that's more important in the team, the guy who's the number 1 driver, he stays ahead because obviously he's the number 1 driver, because he's got more of a chance to fight and to win championships and so on and so forth. But anyway, that's where we're going to end this episode. Obviously, thank you very much for watching. I said a lot of details in this. Obviously, the first part with all the stuff about Sauber. Obviously, they're new. Basically, them moving forward, their kind of shift. Their kind of just change. They've changed a lot of things around in the team, and basically they've made things better. It's looking great. They look like they've got a good thing on the horizon that they're going for. Obviously, do you agree with all that? Obviously, let us know in the comment section below. Obviously, about the timings, about the testing, obviously, about all the drivers that we've mentioned, obviously about Robert Kubica, as I say, coming back. What do you think about him?
The best we could. The best we could.
Obviously, do you have a better pronunciation? Tell us if you have. About Robert, what do you think about his comeback? And obviously, again, about the Hungarian Grand Prix. But anyway, this is where we're going to stop the episode. Thank you very much for watching. We are the F1 Debate, as always, and we'll see you in the next episode.
See you later, guys.